In this video, I'm going to talk about organizing photos and videos specifically for use within VideoStudio X10. If you are like me, you probably have hundreds or thousands of videos or pictures, and how do you organize them? How do you to deal with those? Well, it's not a real easy answer as far as I know, so feel free to add comments in the bottom if you find good ways that might help other people. Software comes and goes, so you know, a software program that might be good today might not be so good tomorrow. And typically the libraries are bound into the program. So for example, if you have a Mac, maybe you use iPhoto or iMovie or Final Cut or something like that. And as I've just shown, I was hoping there was something good with the library, but in VideoStudio, it's just not really good for organizing all of your photos and videos. But I use a Windows machine, and so what I have actually found that's pretty helpful is actually their photo app is really pretty good at it. If you look over here, there's a collection. It's not a perfect system, but it has some real value to some things that can work with Corel VideoStudio. So here's how I do that. So the collection, that is basically organizing all of the videos and photos that it knows how to find, and it organizes them by time, which is actually a very good way to organize things because, of course, you're taking the same pictures and videos around the same time. And so I can scrub down here to pick a time of interest to me. So what I can do is select a number of photos that I want to add to an album. So let's just take some of these at Galaxy Edge and put them into an album. Now, if you look right in the upper right hand, there's a little checkbox here. And once you click on a checkbox, now I can it puts me into a select mode. You see the select mode here. Let me undo that and cancel. So now I'm out of the select mode. Once I've selected one, it puts me into select mode, or I can come up here and click on select and it'll put me in that select mode. And once I'm in select mode, I can just click on them and add to them. I can also do the control click and the shift click, but I just click whichever images that I want, and you can see up here it's showing me how many I have, and then I can add them to an album. And so I'm going to create a new album, and I create that album. Now that's really nice. I can go to the album and I can actually create little videos just by clicking on watch, and it'll create a video. But that's not what I want to do for Corel Studio, but that's pretty cool. But the thing that I wanted to show is that I can select a set of pictures and then export them. So it doesn't matter if I'm in the album or if I'm in the collection or wherever I am. I can go in there and I can select them. So for example, I'll select all 7 here and I will copy, or I can right click on share and it will tell me to copy. So basically I'm just copying a set of files, and then just like we were looking at that project here, I've cleaned it out a little bit here, I can just paste in here. And so that's actually a non-destructive way to work with projects and videos and photos and everything. So since I've copied them from my original location into this project location, now I can go into Corel VideoStudio and I can go into that same project location, select all of these, and open them up, and just pull them into VideoStudio, and now I can do my editing for my video. The other thing to just be aware of, let me just show you something here. So notice this particular image here. I'm going to go bring that in again, and notice it comes in again. So let me sort by name, let's say, and you can see that I actually have 2 copies of this. It's the same file. So that's kind of a problem. It can't recognize that. By contrast, in photos, notice that I've got this picture here. So now I'm going to go ahead and try to add that same picture. I'm going to add that to the album. Add to the new album. And it doesn't duplicate it. It's smart enough to recognize that that one's already been added to the album. Now the final thing that I'll show you is that you can also go to the folders and you can add folders. and that will tell you all the different folders that it will look through. And it looks through the subdirectories in that location. Now, as you may have seen, there is a video editor there, and you can select by people and things like that. It would be nice if you could tag photos and videos and things like that, but at least it's a pretty easy way to organize things. So one other thing that I'll show you if you use Windows, and that is, when you take pictures and often movies with your camera or whatever, the files are named not very nicely. They typically have the date there, but you can already sort by date. What I typically do is I look through them and organize them by name, so I give them a name. And if I now want to sort them by date, what you want to do, I'll show you here. I'm going to click on Details, and you can see the date. But you don't want to use this date. If you go to Add Columns, you don't want to use that date. You want to use the date you would think created, but it's not created. You want the date modified. And so that's actually the date that's closer to when the picture or video was taken. And if I make a copy of this or I rename the file, this date modified will not change. So that gives me a real easy way to compare files without knowing too much about them. I can sort them by date, size, or by a name. So even just using the file system, that's a way that you can deal with things. So if you're using the Windows file system, especially if you put the view on extra large icons and you know about how to sort using the date modified, and then if you name the files appropriately, the file system itself can be quite helpful. But you can see even with the large icons, it's not the greatest way to view things. So Photos is actually a little bit better than that. So it's just nicer to be able to select them. It's a little bit easier to select things, a little bit nicer interface. But both of them can be used to organize the files. And then what you do is just copy them into another directory, and that way you can use them and import them into VideoStudio, and you don't have to worry about actually accidentally deleting them or anything else like that. Of course, if your videos and pictures are all well organized in folders, you can just drill in directly to them from VideoStudio and include them in your projects. The other advantage of using Photos to organize things is that you can keep all of your folder images and videos wherever you want. They could all be in one directory, or they could be spread out just about anywhere, and yet you can see them all together in one place through the collections, and then you can put them in albums and easily move them in and out of albums, much easier than it is to copy between folders in the file system actually. So that's just another advantage. It's pros and cons to each approach. Anyway, those are just some ideas on how you can organize your videos and photos to use within VideoStudio.